What's one misconception students have about graduate coursework programs?
I would say that while many of them commence in the profession that they're doing the graduate coursework in, that a lot of them will actually go on and do other things during their 40-year careers.
Hello, and welcome to the Honestly Honors podcast, a show where we discuss and demystify the MDHS Honours Program. My name's Ryan Johansson, and I'm the MDHS Honours Coordinator. In this episode, we're going to talk about the path less taken. Students who are moving on to pathways outside of the usual MD or PhD. Today we have 3 staff members joining me from coursework programs across the university. I'd like to start today and to ask you to introduce yourself, which department you're from, and maybe a couple of coursework options available in your area. We'll start over here.
Great. My name's Anthea Cochrane. I'm from the Department of Optometry and Vision Sciences. And if you come and work or come and be a student in our department, you can do an honours program with us. But our biggest program is the Doctor of Optometry program, which is a 4-year postgraduate program. There are also obviously masters and PhD students within our department.
Awesome, thank you.
Thanks, Ryan. So my name's Adam Bryant. I'm the Honours Coordinator in the Department of Physiotherapy. We have a relatively small honours program, which we commenced in 2023, and our cohorts are relatively small, between sort of 3 and 4 students. So like Department of Vision Science, our main focus is the Doctor of Physiotherapy program. We also have an extensive group of PhD and master students, and we also have an online master's program within the department.
Fantastic, thank you.
Thanks for having us. So my name is Associate Professor Kelly Graydon, and I am the course coordinator for the Master of Clinical Audiology. I come with a hat of also working in the department that holds Master of Speech Pathology as well. Those are both our big coursework programs. They're 2 years each, so students will choose either to do one or the other if they're coming to our department. And then at the end of it, you can be an audiologist or a speech pathologist.
Fantastic. Thank you. It's wonderful to have you all here today. From your perspective, how do the graduate coursework degrees differ from the PhDs? What's sort of the main differences there?
Well, the main difference is in optometry, and I imagine it's the same for the other health sciences. You're going into a vocation. So you're going in to be an optometrist or to be a physio or to be an audiologist. I imagine if you're doing an honours or a PhD, your paths are going to be different. And our courses, most of them in our school are accredited, so we have to follow very strict requirements to get our students up to a certain level to be able to perform the jobs that they're going to do.
So they're ready for practice once they complete.
Yeah.
Adam?
Well, it's exactly the same in physiotherapy. So it's vocational training for students who come out in as physiotherapists, and they can diversify into different specialities like musculoskeletal or sports or pediatrics, whereas obviously masters and PhD are for students who are interested in a research future, I guess. And often we have students coming back after they've done their vocational training who are physiotherapists who then go on to complete a PhD. Typically a little bit after that. They want to go away and implement the skills that they've worked hard to develop.
And then they come back and sort of do the research in that area and based on their experience and understanding.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah, I was going to pick up on Adam's point there. So I, as an undergraduate student, was thinking, what am I going to do after this undergraduate degree? And was tossing up, honours versus going into a graduate program. And so I think the key to the biggest difference is, as Anthea alluded to, that you're going into a profession. So if it's something where you want to end up in a profession and you don't think research careers for you just yet, then that's a really good way to go. And then, as you said, coming back after, which is what I did, and did a PhD, once I'd sort of got my profession and I really knew what I enjoyed, then I could do the research later. So it's a really good way to do things.
Excellent. So you've kind of found going that way, or students might also find going that way into a master's first, going to vocation, buys them a little time, so to speak, but may also clarify where they want to go and what they want to research.
Yeah, I think that sums it up nicely.
Yeah,
thank you. Yeah, excellent. And that involves clinical placements as well. It's vocational training. You'll be out there doing it. Obviously not day one, but you'll be out there in the field doing it.
Because we're all postgraduate programs, I think all of us try and get our students into our preclinical environment or simulation environments pretty early, because they've already done undergraduate courses and we want to try and get going from the start of the course. So most of us in our first year, you're already doing kind of the job, but you're doing it in a simulated environment to start off with.
Ah, fantastic. So it's, in that sense, it's quite structured. Like if you're coming from honours, you've got quite a lot of independence and you're going back to a more structured vocational style, but then may lead into that research later on as well. Oh, excellent. What kind of students thrive in these programs? Sort of, we might be looking at personality traits, learning styles, motivations. What kind of qualities do you see in the students that really succeed in master's coursework?
I can certainly speak on behalf of speech pathology and audiology to start with.
Yeah.
There might be similar traits that come up, but certainly excellent communicators. And I do believe that students who are good problem solvers and can think a little bit outside the box as well do well in these subjects or these coursework. And obviously team players as well. You want to be able to work in a team environment because you're directly impacting patient care. So you need to be able to understand what an optometrist does, what a physiotherapist does, even though you might be a speech pathologist. Anything else?
Excellent. Yeah, Adam.
Yeah, so I guess given the nature of the podcast, I'll talk about honours students rather than sort of talking about postgraduate students. And our cohort has just started. So in our experience, and I think the supervisors in the department would agree, the honours students that tend to do well are those who are working consistently, who ask questions and who listen. It's not necessarily the students who come in with the highest scores that do well. It's those who work consistently, as I said, have a good relationship with their supervisors and the honours coordinator, and who persevere. And we encourage our students to treat it like a job. So you work from 9 to 5 and you have time away from study. But generally speaking, it's those who work consistently.
Excellent.
Yeah, I think the students that do well in our kind of courses have good academics, but also have good professional skills, which is communication and understanding that they're going to be helping people, and most of them that go into clinical work, their work will be with patients Monday to Friday. So if you don't like people, I wouldn't recommend. You need to understand that you're going to be working with a diverse group of people, and that's part of the fun of it because everybody comes in with a different presentation. But it's hard work some days because some of those presentations back to back can be very complex. And that's why academics is important, because being able to think on your feet, as Kelly was saying, and, you know, if you've got an honours behind you, then you've developed some of those skills. So we love students that have done undergraduate and honours coming into our courses.
What are the skills you see coming from the honours students that perhaps are not so prominent from others?
I think it's that ability to think broadly and to be able to solve a problem, and often writing skills have improved during the honours as well.
Yeah, we noticed the same thing. It's a very intensive year, and over the course of that year they come from an undergraduate. I mean, they're still undergraduates, but they come from a very limited research base, and by the end of that, well, effectively 9 months, most of them are producing a research paper. So they have a vastly expanded capacity for writing and thinking scientifically.
Kelly, anything you'd like to add there?
I would just copy that's already been said. They're definitely much better at the research element of our courses. So most of our courses will have a capstone project that goes within the course as well. And those students tend to thrive in that area because they've had past experience with research and doing a project.
Okay, so there is a bit of project work. Can you unpack a little bit about what's involved in a capstone, please?
So in the final year of our courses anyway, so I'll just speak on behalf of audiology and speech pathology, we run a capstone project, which is a project that you usually undertake with other students, and it might be related to an industry type project or a community type project. So the students are getting really hands-on experience in research, but how it applies to their particular profession, rather than just a generalized research project. So I guess those honours skills you can bring through all of your inquiry and your written ability into those projects, but it would be more specific to audiology. So, for example, one of our student projects this year is looking at hearing protection in the dental students and the outcomes of that, and whether the students will uptake hearing protection at the end of that. So the students have to design the project, write the project up, and then present it at the end of the year.
Excellent.
It's the same for physiotherapy. We have a research capstone in the third year of their DPT, and it's almost identical in terms of scope, I suppose. So our students can have a research focus, or they can have a teaching and learning focus, or they have a community focus in the projects that they do. And for the most part, I think the group's between sort of 4 and 6 students. It's been very successful, actually.
Fantastic.
Optometry is slightly different because we're optometry and vision sciences. So our project is actually at second year, and it's probably a bit more aligned to what you might do in an honours year, because a lot of the projects traditionally have been single discipline, unlike some of the ones that have been described earlier, and can be quite lab-based, for example, either animal or human, because we do graduate to vision sciences as well. So some of our graduates don't actually go into optometry. Most do, but some of them, there's lots of avenues for somebody that's got strong skills in vision science.
That's fascinating. I was not aware of that, but that sounds amazing, because it kind of ties into my next question, which is some of the worry students have is, if I move into coursework, is that the end of my research career? Am I hanging up my research hat and going straight to coursework? But it's clearly not. From the sounds of things, you still get a little bit more ability to work on projects even in a coursework. And as we mentioned at the start of the show, people come back afterwards and continue with research.
Well, I think if you want to be an academic, if your career looks like staying at the University of Melbourne, then doing one of our programs and a PhD is how you become a academic at the University of Melbourne.
Yes, absolutely.
Fantastic. I guess, well, that actually ties into my next question very well, is, completing an honours, how does that strengthen a student's application for a coursework or program? When you look at honours, I think we've kind of touched on the skills that they developed during that research in honours. Is there any other ways that honours is a benefit for them?
Well, I guess apart from the skills that they develop, those research-related skills, and I guess it's important also to consider that the honours program does have a fair bit of coursework embedded within that.
That's true.
So we all have our dedicated coursework subject. For us, it's physiotherapy research practice, and we have our our year-long thesis-related subject. But and Ryan, you'd know more about this than probably anyone, but doing well in honours really elevates your entrance score for other programs. So our students typically come in with good scores. I think we had a student last year who was in the high 80s, and she won one of the faculty scholarships. But to date, most of our students have done very well, which means that they have the capacity to go into another health sciences program. So for 2 of our students so far have gone into medicine, 2 have gone into physio, 1's gone into dentistry, and some of the others have gone into sort of other postgraduate programs as well. So that's one of the big focus of honours is to elevate your entry score.
Yeah, elevate your entry score.
I hope people are doing honours not to elevate their scores. They're doing it because they're really enthusiastic about doing an honours
100%.
program. However, the side benefit is usually the score is better once they've finished an honours program, and therefore they get into the same kind of courses that's just been described. And the other thing these days is more likely to be competitive for a Commonwealth supported place, because our postgraduate courses are not fully Commonwealth supported places. Some of our places are full fee paying, so it's competitive to get a Commonwealth supported place as well.
Yeah, and just speaking on that WAM, of course, the best way to get a higher score is be interested in your project, genuinely interested in what you're doing. So it's not really something you can game, so to speak. Kelly, would you like to
only just to add that many of our entry requirements for these courses in health sciences require an interview to get in. And so often the honours side of things really stands out in the students' interviews. They're able to draw on some real-world experiences or examples that they've had within their honours program that can then be picked up on in an interview.
Yeah, for sure. Those examples and what we've talked about earlier, problem-solving skills, thinking outside the box, they can address that with that real-world experience. Fantastic. Exactly. There's kind of a perception, I think, that, to go from honours to a PhD, well, a PhD is very impressive, or perhaps more rigorous as an option straight from an honours. How do you think coursework degrees compare in terms of the intensity or expectations or where they lead to, compared to the perception of the PhDs and research?
I guess I can start off just because I have done that sort of journey. So I found doing my graduate coursework quite intense. It was a big program and a steep learning curve for me from my undergraduate degree. But at the same time, I was super passionate about it because I knew that's what I wanted to do when I grew up, so to speak. So that was my profession. So I was motivated by that. I'm glad in hindsight that I didn't go straight into a PhD program just because I don't think I was ready to do that sort of intenseness of research. Having the experience as an audiologist gave me a lot of skills to then put towards my motivation and my interest in the PhD. If I had have gone straight into a PhD, I think I probably wouldn't have succeeded because I wasn't particularly motivated by any topics that were presented early, whereas after my coursework and working in the field for a while, I could really establish where my interests were.
So you think that helped you? You mentioned skills and interests, so you think the Masters helped you sort of find your true north, so to speak. Were there other skills other than what we've mentioned during that journey that sort of the Masters helped you develop to prepare you for a PhD?
Yeah, that's a good question. I guess it was probably just building my confidence as well and my communication. Even just being able to sort of work with other people because when you do your PhD, you need to navigate supervisors, patients. There's a lot of different things that come up during the PhD. And I think becoming a clinician first allowed me to really hone in those skills and be able to be more successful, I guess, in my PhD work.
Yeah, fantastic. Anthea, anything you'd like to add there?
I think I don't have a PhD, and so I've thought about it a lot, but never gone there myself. So because the skills are somewhat different, as many of our students want to do optometry and they want to see patients and they want to run their own businesses or, work in practices with other people. And so the PhD is quite a different pathway. But we definitely get students who graduate and want to go straight into a PhD. And we definitely get students who come back and have found something in their clinical work that then they want to delve deeper into. And we see both of those happen. So every year we'll get one or two that'll go straight into a PhD from optometry, and we'll get a couple of people that have been out for usually between 3 and 10 years and then come back and do a PhD.
So you're seeing a similar thing in terms of helping people find their true north or something they really want to dive into.
Absolutely.
Is that similar for you, Adam?
Yeah, I think so, Ryan. To this point, we've actually had no students convert directly from honours into a PhD. They've all sort of come in and they've enjoyed the process, I think it's fair to say, but they've then decided to go into other health science-related courses. In terms of honours versus a PhD, I think the learning curve is steeper for honours. And in my opinion, I think the workload is higher than a PhD as well. So we design our projects so that the students use legacy data, which is data that's already been collected because it is so intense.
Right.
So they don't get a lot of exposure to lab-based work,
Mm-hmm.
but it is a relatively intense year. And from my experience, the quality of work and the publications are equivalent to a quarter of a PhD or something along those lines. It's hard to quantify, but for the most part, they're producing high quality work. So, for example, one of the students in our program this year has a cohort base of 1,000 patients. So they will interrogate that data and write it up. So in terms of work comparable to a PhD, that would probably form 1 or 2 chapters. I mean, it's quite remarkable.
Yeah, yeah. Do you think that's something that perhaps people underestimate about masters, is the amount of work that's involved?
Masters or honours?
Masters.
I have less experience. So with are you talking about research masters or?
Well, if they go into a coursework based.
Oh, coursework.
Like, they think, is it a misconception that, that workload's actually really higher than they thought? Or
yeah, it's a hard one for me to comment on. I don't have a lot of exposure to our Doctor of Physiotherapy program, so it's quite hard to comment on that. But Anthony, you might have an idea.
I think one of the misconceptions, and the word doctor's just come up, is that optometry and physio, you're actually doing a doctorate. So it's a doctorate by coursework. It's not a master's level.
Yeah. There we go.
So some of the shorter courses like speech and audiology are, but the longer courses, because physio is 3 years and optometry is 4, you're actually doing a doctorate.
A doctorate.
Yep.
Coursework doctorate. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. Fantastic. There we are. We are clearing up misconceptions left, right and centre.
Yeah.
Absolutely. What about some, coming to you, Kelly, some hidden joys or benefits of going through a shorter program of a master's?
Many.
That may come out, so many, yeah.
I guess it's really just the fact that after 2 years you have a job, and I think sometimes you are treading through university feeling a little bit lost about what am I going to do when I grow up. And so having a short coursework program, often students use it as a bit of a stepping stone. So it's a 2 years, you have your master's degree. You might then work as a speech pathologist for a couple of years, and then you might end up in hospital management or government systems or other types of activities.
Yeah.
Audiology, for example, we've had students that have ended up as ear, nose and throat surgeons. So you can use it more as a stepping stone into your next study if you'd like to. So it really just gives you that good groundwork to then springboard into something else that might be of then interest to you.
Oh, fantastic. Fantastic. If I'm an honours student now and I'm thinking, don't know where to go, probably don't want to go straight into research. I want to go to more vocational kind of area. What do you think they should be doing to prepare themselves? Or what should they be thinking about if they know they want to move into that area?
They need to go and have a look at the job. So if they haven't had their eyes tested, they need to go and have their eyes tested, and their friendly optometrist will tell them why they chose to do optometry. So go and have a chat.
Yep.
Yeah.
People are always happy to have a chat to prospective students, I find, in our professions.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. We always tell our students to keep an open mind and talk to as many people as they can, and don't make a decision too early on. Just wait to see how it goes. You might love the research process, and rather than going into a DPT or another health science related course, they might want to go and do a PhD. But we always encourage them to keep an open mind and don't be too sort of rigid in their thinking, particularly early on, because they could be missing out on an exciting career that they hadn't entertained, I guess.
Fantastic. Thank you, Kelly.
All of our coursework programs offer information evenings, and obviously there's open day as well. So I always encourage students to come and have a chat. The students are always there in the courses, so they're very open to telling the potential students what it's really like to study our programs. And they also have activities that our new students could participate in to see what a physiotherapist might do, or a social worker or a speech pathologist.
Yeah.
So that's a good way to find
That's a really
things
good
out.
point, actually, yeah.
Go and find out more about what it is you might be getting yourself into.
Exactly.
Yeah, I like that. Well, it's time for our mailbag segment now, where we have questions.
All right.
More questions from commencing students. Now, look at this. We'll see what we've got in here.
It's random.
I'm gonna shuffle it up a bit. All right. This one feels heavy. You guys ready for this? Here we go.
Hopefully these have been vetted.
Okay, so this is an anonymous student from Richmond. So again, this is what I like to call the no thinking, just talking segment. Just say what comes first to your mind here. So they write, I'm enjoying honours, but I don't see myself doing a PhD. However, am I limiting myself if I choose coursework as opposed to research?
I think you already know my answer to that one. Absolutely not. As I said earlier, you can go on to coursework, really find your home, maybe practice for a little bit in that profession, and then come back and do your PhD. So I think no matter where on your journey you are, if you want to do a PhD, you'll get there in the end. You just need to work out when the time is right for you.
Oh, I like that. Yeah.
That's perfect. I couldn't have put that better. I mean, it's horses for courses, to use the old adage, really. You need to follow your passion and do what you're interested in. I mean, there's no point doing, DPT, for example, or going into a PhD if you're not passionate about it, because it's a lot of hard work. So you need to be focused and as I said, really passionate about it.
Yeah, I think you just got to talk to lots of people about why they chose what they did and then think about how it relates to you. And I am working in academia without a PhD. So although the traditional way of working in academia is to have one, there are opportunities, particularly with education-focused staff now at our university, that allows you, even if your passion is academia, to be here. I might have done a few grad dips and certificates along the way, but that's one of the joys of working here as well. You get access to those kind of opportunities.
Fantastic. I'm hearing out of that, it refines yet opens pathways. It would be a way to perhaps package that, if I could put it in a sentence. I'm also hearing that it builds on what you learn in honours, and those skills around sort of researching, asking questions, problem solving, developing that communication in honours is built on even further in the coursework, but also leading you in that area of a profession. It allows you to dive deeper, gives you a bit more time to decide. So, I mean, there's lots of options available. I myself have learned quite a lot today. So thank you very much for sharing your thoughts and experiences. So yeah, there's plenty of options out there. Go and ask some questions. I think that was a great one. Go and talk to some people. Head over to your optometrist and talk to them, for example, or join an information evening. So that wraps up today's episode. Next time, we will discuss life as a career researcher.